Hello and welcome to the Author Radio Show. My name is Viv Oyolo. The show is dedicated to authors and professionals who work in book publishing. Each episode starts off with the What Caught Your Eye segment, which looks at 3 stories in book publishing that's caught the commentator's eye in the past week. The rest of our time is an interview with an entrepreneur or professional who provides a service for authors to either write, publish, or market their book. Hi and welcome to the What Caught Your Eye segment, and today's commentator is Bev Ryan. Hi Bev, how are you doing?
Hi Viv, I'm really well, thank you.
Okay, you've sent me 3 links this week on what's caught your eye. So what's the first thing?
Well, I'll just explain. I'm a book coach who works in non-fiction authors. So the things that have caught my eye are kind of things that I thought authors might be interested in. First one is something I've got on my computer, and every now and then I put my headphones on and I tune in. It's a funny little site. It's called Coffeetivity. It's hard to say. But what it is really just background noise for a coffee shop. So I think it's perfect for those days when you're at home working on your computer and you really want some company, or you want to feel like there's a group of people around you, but you've got to stay at home and do the work. So I pop on my headphones and I've got this quiet buzz of coffee shop sounds and crockery and cutlery and people talking, and the only thing missing is the smell of coffee and the coffee being delivered to my desk. So I'll just spell out the name of it for people who may not have ever heard of it. Coffeetivity, so coffeetivity.com. It's really cool, neat little site. Yeah. Now, the other site that is relatively new for authors, but I think it's going to be very successful.
Before you go on to that, yeah. I just want to talk about this, because I think it's interesting that people who are writing at home, but do you find that business authors they go through a different creative process, so this would be a good thing for them?
I think so. I think most people who work from home, I think sometimes the isolation really gets to them, and that's why I think you see more and more people turning up with their laptop at coffee shops and taking up valuable space, which I imagine sometimes coffee shop owners really get a bit annoyed by. But yeah, I think people need to feel from time to time that they've got other people around them, even if they're concentrating on their own work. So this little I guess it's an app you can put on your phone as well. I just have it on my desktop, but it really solves that problem. You just feel like you're in amongst people, even if you're not. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, if you don't want to be amongst people, you can just turn off your headset. Take it off.
Well, that's right. Yeah, you just turn it on when you feel like you need. And sometimes when I'm working late, or if my office opens onto the lounge room in my home, so if I put that background noise on and somebody watches TV, it's no interruption to me. It's fine. I can just keep working.
Yeah. I'm just thinking that, technology is really moving publishing onto many levels, because I think 5 years ago, we wouldn't even have been thinking about different aspects of the writing journey for a writer. But obviously, the entrepreneurs who've come up with this concept understand that sometimes you want to go to a coffee shop to write, and this is one way to overcome it if you don't actually want to leave the house.
Yeah, and it's really neat to see these funny little ideas that people come up with, and there's a big demand for it. It's not just writers, anybody who's working from home, and there's a lot of people doing that now. So yeah. I'm not sure how they make money out of it. I haven't really investigated that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just for people listening, if you want to go check it out, they have something called Morning Mama. So that's a gentle hum gets the day started. So you can sort of time what time of the day. And then there's Lunchtime Lounge. So it's bustling chatter, lunchtime rush. And then there's University Undertones. And there's Paris Paradise. So if you imagine that you're in the City of Light, that's what you would get. And then there's the Brazil Bistro. So it's a musical chatter of a Brazilian coffee house.
Wow.
I found really interesting. And then there's the Texas Tea House. So it's the hefty sounds from a big state, which, they're taking all this into, I guess, as they develop, they would have different sounds from different cities, and I can imagine them going to a London cafe, which would be slightly different from being in an American cafe. So they would come up with different sounds, and possibly a bookshop as well, bookshop cafe as well. So it'd be interesting to see how this develops.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go on to the next one, please.
Right. So the other one that I've been looking at closely, and I actually did consider using this for the book I'm working on now, but I haven't for various reasons, which I'll explain. It's called Publishizer. It's actually a website that authors can use to try and gather crowdfunding for their book. Really, it's a place where you can put your book up and details about your book, or put your book cover, details about your book, and you can request a certain amount of money that will help pay for the production of your books, and then you try and get people to crowdfund you. Really, what they're doing is pre-ordering your book, although you can offer extra rewards or bonuses so that people give more than just the price of your book. But, that's the obvious one. If people should pay a slightly reduced price and pre-order your book, then they'll get your book when it's finished and get a signed copy or whatever. But you can add other bonuses in so that you've got a price range for people to give money. And it's fairly new, probably about 12 months old.
Okay.
It's called Publishizer, publishizer.com. And it was started by an Australian fellow who's now living in Singapore, and sort of early days. I think they've funded about 40 books. So there's books, if you go to the website, you can see books that have been funded and books that have not received much funding at all. So it's like any of crowdfunding. I think the more effort you put into promoting the fact that you are seeking crowdfunding, then the more, the better results you'll get. So and people aren't asking for huge amounts of money. Usually people are asking $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, really just to cover the production of their books, which is a great idea.
I think it is an amazing idea. And I know that there are other book crowdfunding platforms, but I like this one because it talks about pre-sales. And I guess that's the key word that authors like. They want to know that people have already bought their books. Crowdfunding gives it a different meaning, I guess, for a lot of people, because it sounds like you want to get your book off the ground rather than saying, I've written the book, buy the book before it comes out.
Yeah, definitely. And the reason I've looked at doing it, and there's no reason why I couldn't still do it, because I am still literally writing my book. So at this point, I do have my book cover design, and I do have a photograph of myself, which is really the key ingredients. But then ideally, you should make a short video, which can be just something really simple, like a PowerPoint presentation that you record and put up as a short presentation. So I don't think it has to be complex. And I think with publishing, if you're publishing a book with content that people want, that's what they're paying for. They're paying for the content. They're not paying for the ritzy, high definition, fancy video to promote the book. If you've got material in your book that people want, then they'll pay for it. So, which is particularly relevant to non-fiction books, but also to people who are writing some great fiction genres and all sorts of things. So, if they've got a fan base, they could easily gather the money they need to publish by using this publishizer.com.
Yeah. I have to say, I went onto the business category, and there have been some books who have gotten up to 150% pre-sales. Yeah. I would not say crowdfunded, but pre-sales, which is really interesting. And I've looked at what the books are about, and mostly about online businesses, content marketing. There's a particular type of book that people are really interested in these days, which is really interesting.
Which is they're looking for the content, because that content's going to help them make money.
Yes.
And it's always been the case with my very first magazine, which was called Work From Home. I spent I spent money on production costs, but I kept it. All the inside of the magazine was black and white because the people wanted the content. They weren't fussed about whether it had pretty pictures or not. So Yeah, and that worked. That equation worked, and there's still magazines out there being printed in black and white because people want the content.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think these books are going to do. I mean, well, they're already doing well because they've gotten people to pay X amount of money for their books. So really well done
Yeah.
to them.
And chances are that those authors have already got that, what they call the author platform, which is really just a good database of people who like what you do. And that's why that author platform or database is so critical, because then you can do things like that and successfully fund things before you've had to outlay any costs.
Yeah. And actually, what this means is you already have the addresses of these people who've pre-bought your book, and they're not on Amazon yet, so you can have a direct relationship with them. This is what this would give them.
Yes.
So even if it's just 100 people, that is still 100 more people than starting from zero for some people.
That's right. Yeah, definitely. Actually, the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm thinking I should actually go down that route. The thing that happens, though, the reason I said earlier that I decided not to is that it really just slows down the production process, because you need to get your book onto Publishizer, and you need to make people aware that it's there and give it, 4 to 6 weeks to raise the money. So if you're in a rush to get a book produced, then that would slow you down. And also, if you're an unknown author and you don't have any followers and you don't have a database, then you probably would struggle to raise the money. But if you've got all those things in place, then and you're writing a book about something that's topical and that people are, it's a trend that people are really buying into, then you probably do quite well.
I think it's having a marketing strategy about how you raise awareness for it. That's important
yes,
as well.
Yes. It can be very time consuming. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about, I have a program coming out called Voice Your Journey. And this could be one way to get people into your tribe of of writing your book and where your book goes and how well your book does. This could be one angle to it. Because if you have this, if you set this up, you can use that as part of the way you engage with people. So you drive people to your, to part of where you want them to be, your base. And then you can keep on communicating with them until the book comes out.
Using your program, Voice
Your Journey. So using Voice Your Journey.
Voice Your Journey, yeah. They would fit perfectly together, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it would. Just thinking about both of them together, I think it would work perfectly to draw more people in and to get the people who didn't know that you had this you had this pre-order thing on to go and buy the book because they're already invested in your journey of wanting to succeed.
Definitely. We need to talk, you and me.
Yes, we do. This is an excellent. I think it's brilliant, really, really good. So let's move on to the third one, please.
Okay, so the third one I've chosen to have a chat about is called booklaunch.io. So book launch as in BOOKLAUNCH.io. It's another relatively new website that is created for authors only, but I've had a look at it and I think there's lots of things you could do with this website apart from books, but it's set up for authors, and there is a free option, which is one page, a hosted web page with your book on it. That's, as I said, hosted by this company. You can't do a lot with that one free page, but they've got another option, which I think is $5 a month. But the $10 a month, which is not a lot of money, is the highest end service, and that's where your book website's fully hosted. You've got unlimited number of pages. You've got lots of different features, and one of the key ones that I think is that on the website, and that they're really beautiful too, that you can put an opt-in form that is synchronized with your customer database manager, which could be MailChimp or Infusionsoft or whatever. So people can find your book. So what you would do, you'd buy your domain name for your book, point it at this book launch website, and people can go on there and you could run your whole book business from that for $10 a month. And the templates are so easy to set up. Anyone could do them. So they're a really simple and really attractive option for a book website for many, many people. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And what of people who already have their own website? How would this work with it?
Well, they may not. There are people who've already got a website. I mean, they've got to make a decision, I guess, whether they want to host or house their book on their website, which for many people that's what makes sense anyway. Or do they want to separate their book from their business? A lot of people buy a domain name that matches their book, and in that case, I mean, some people then point that domain name back to a page on their own website, which is fine. So there's no extra cost involved in doing that. Whereas other people, like I said, particularly people who are authors who don't necessarily have nice websites, this is a really attractive option for their book website. And because it's unlimited pages, you could add programs. Say if you write a book about coaching or something and you want to develop some programs that kind of as offshoots of your book, you could house them on that same website, and that could be your hub for that whole part of your business. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and they're very attractive templates. Very nice, very modern.
Very, very interesting. And I think for people who, because I'm just thinking, even if you have your own website and you bought the domain name for your book, you could just have it on here, even if you just took the basic package, but it's more SEO for you and it's more exposure for you.
Yeah, that's true. So you could have on your your business website, you would then just maybe have a banner or have a page for your book, but when they click on go to your page on your website about your book, then there's a link there off to its own separate page. Yeah, it's, for some people that would work really well.
And for people who are browsing, they can, if they go to this website, then they see your book there, and they may not know about you prior to being on this website. So it's good exposure for you as an author to just, because I'm just looking at it and it says one book page, basic analytics, it's SEO optimized, mobile ready, and basic sections. So if you already have your website, then this is, it's great for you because it's just another place that you can be found online.
Yeah, definitely. So you might have your book name, book title, URL that points to that page, but you still have your book on your website as well.
Yes,
I mean, you have your book on Amazon and as many places as you want it, on Goodreads and all sorts of places. So yeah, it's just another place people can find you.
Oh wow, very, very good selections, Bev. Thanks so much.
No worries. My pleasure.
Yeah.
My interview today is with Ginny Carter. Ginny is a business book ghostwriter and a book writing coach. She works with speakers, coaches, experts, and consultants, specializing in ghostwriting in your voice. She coaches aspiring authors who would love to write their own book. Hi, Ginny. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Viv.
Lovely to talk to you. You're a book coach, you're a business ghostwriter. How did you get into it?
Well, I guess communication has always been my thing, and I worked for many years in marketing. And then a few years ago, I started working as a freelance social media manager. I made that shift from being, an employee into working for myself. And I did that for a few years and really enjoyed it, but actually kind of got to that point where I looked to the future and thought, is this the sort of thing I want to do for the rest of my life? And decided that the answer was no. So one of the things I realized while I was doing the freelance work was that I was really good at writing in my clients' voices when I was managing their social media accounts. And the feedback I got from them was, wow, you come across just like us, or I feel like it's me that's written that. And I went through a process of deciding really what it was I really wanted to do and work with a coach to do that. And really kind of made that big leap and decided that I would use that talent for writing in other people's voices to be a business book ghostwriter, because writing has always been a big obsession of mine. And then at the same time, I also coach other people to write their own business books as well. So I went through a big leap about a year ago, and I'm now absolutely loving what I do.
Oh, fantastic. So you're the right person for what we want to talk about today.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah. So we're talking about business owners and how they can pick best idea for their book. Is
Mm.
it common to have more than one idea for a book?
Yeah, and often I find the people that I work with, they've got lots and lots of ideas. They're very creative people often, and they're buzzing with ideas, and which is lovely. But it can be a bit of a barrier to starting a book, because I often find it's the one thing that's stopping them right at the beginning is they can't work out what to write about. And of course, until you've got that pinned down, you can't really start. So one of the things that I do is help them to decide which idea is the best one.
Is it because or because they're serving different markets that they usually have one idea, or is it that classic case of they've started off in one area as a business owner and then sort of meandered into or woven their way into other areas?
Yeah, that often happens, and I one of the things that I'm always really keen to do when I start working with people is make sure that their book is a reflection of their business, the business they want to have. If the book topic and the audience for the book aren't aligned with the business, then that book isn't going to help the business. And it's quite common for people to want to write about something that they just want to write about, but isn't necessarily going to support their business and build their business for them. So, sometimes problems with getting an idea fixed for the book can be a reflection of the way the business is, or not, as the case may be. But what I do is work with them to just agree the best way forward for them. And also because I think it's very important to have one clear idea for your book, because your readers want to get one main thing from it, and they need to know when they're thinking about buying the book, they need to be very sure as to what they're going to get at the end of it, what's in it for them. And it's very difficult to do that if you've got too many ideas floating around.
So what common challenges do you see with business owners trying to nail down their own idea?
Yeah, well, usually, as I said before, they've got too many ideas. But actually, one of the things that I find that that's stopping them narrowing it down is that they don't want to give up the ideas that they've already got, because they get attached to them. So what I encourage them to do is write down all of their ideas, just get them all down, so they're not worried about forgetting any of them and these wonderful gems that have come into their mind. Yeah. And then often I say, well, look, the ones that we don't use, they don't need to be wasted. It could be a starting point for a training course or a workshop, or it could be a video series or maybe a series of blog posts. You don't have to waste these ideas. They can always be used. And then we go through a process where we look at what they really want to write about, what really fills them with excitement. Because if you're writing a book, you've got to really love the subject, haven't you? Otherwise, it'll be a pretty awful process. So, and there's often one idea more than another that will fill them with that passion. But then also looking at whether it's supportive of their business, like I mentioned before. Yeah. So, is it aiming at the subject that their business is about? How's it going to help their business to grow? And also then looking at the audience for the book. Who are they aiming to read this book? Is it a similar audience that they have for their business? Because if it isn't, then it's going to be difficult for them to market it and make a success of it, and also it's not going to support their business in the right way. Then we look at how much they actually know about the subject. So it might be that they want to go in depth into one particular area of their business that they feel that they've done really well at and have got a lot to talk about, which is great. Or it may be that actually when they think it through, maybe they haven't really quite got enough content for it, and maybe a different idea would work better. And then I also encourage them to maybe think about combining some ideas. Sometimes two ideas that look very different from each other, actually there are ways of combining them to make them work. So, you might have, say, an idea to write a nutrition guide, and then another about how to cook healthy meals. And actually, you could combine those two together, and it might be just a different angle on it that you need. So there's lots of different stages that we can go through. And then finally, of course, looking at what other people are writing about and whether this is something that people are actually going to want to read, which can be the final reality check, looking at what other books are out there, and not being worried about other books on the same subject, because we can all write about subjects that have already been covered, but just making sure that the angle and the take on it is unique.
Yeah. Would you, if we had to choose, or if someone had to choose between passion and purpose, what would you recommend they choose?
Well, hopefully their passion will be the same as their purpose if it's a business that they really love and are very expert in. But sometimes that isn't always the case, and people are going through a shift. Or it can be that maybe some people have already written a book and they feel they want to write a book about a different subject. So that's the point at which some people make the mistake of going off on a bit of a tangent and deciding they're going to write about something they just really love, rather than thinking about what's going to benefit their business. So it may well be that there are ways of combining the passion and the purpose that the author hasn't really considered. Or it might be that if they're starting up a new business and they're wanting a book to help promote that, that can be a really great way of doing it. And the passion is therefore in a new direction for their business. And we just need to talk through whether they're ready to write that book yet, whether it would be better to leave it a bit, or whether, no, they have got enough material for it now, and then we can go ahead.
You mentioned earlier on that writing a book for an audience that's not really their audience yet is not exactly a good strategy, because it's sort of a new territory for them.
Yeah, it can be tricky because it's really thinking about how they're going to market the book. So if they've built up an established audience through the current business, they'll have hopefully an email list or social media following or some kind of platform that they've built up that they use to market themselves. And if the book is aimed at a completely different audience, then they've got to ask themselves how they're going to promote it. Now, it might not be impossible. It might be that they can team up with other people. Every situation is different. It's just that it's kind of important, I suppose, at the beginning to recognise that could be an issue, and think at the beginning, well, is that something I can deal with, or is it a bit of a showstopper, and should I maybe think about writing about something else?
So I'm just thinking that in terms of podcasting, I think that, I mean, it's two different things, but I was thinking of that question, and I was thinking that some people can use podcasting or podcasting as a strategy to go into a new market, to get yourself well known there, to establish yourself.
Yes, but I guess you can extend your reach through the podcasting just as you can through having a book. But I guess it's still a similar audience, and that they're still the type of people who would be interested in your business.
Yeah.
So they're a new audience, but they're still related to your existing one. Yeah. If you see what I mean.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you help business owners to think about their idea and their process to go through. Ghostwriting is not such a taboo anymore. Why do you think people are sort of leaning towards using people like yourself to write their books?
Well, I think there's more awareness now of why it's really important to have a book. If you're an expert, a speaker, a coach, somebody with expertise to deliver, it's there's more awareness of what a book can do for you in terms of your expert credibility and the image that you're putting across of yourself. And I suppose because this is more widely known, and more people are looking to work with ghostwriters, because it's very time consuming to write a good book. I know there are courses out there that tell you how to write one in a weekend, but I've yet to come across a book that's been written that quickly that would be of a really high standard. So people don't have the time, and they look at it as an outsourcing thing, much like anything else they might outsource. Like I don't do my own accounts because I'm rubbish with numbers, and I'm sure I could probably do them if I really wanted to, but I would be tearing my hair out and probably wouldn't do a very good job of them at the end of the day. So ghostwriting is very similar in that way, in that if writing isn't your main area of expertise and it's something that's going to take you a long time, then it does make sense to outsource it. But also I think there's a realization that the content is very much that of the author. It's not the ghostwriter who makes it all up. It's the author who generates the content in conjunction with the ghostwriter, and all good ghostwritten books are very much a joint project.
And how does it work with you when somebody approaches you? What are the first steps that you go through?
Well, first of all, I have a big session with them where I go through the strategic side of their book. So what I've been talking about, the audience, the subject, and so on. Then we talk through the structure, so how the outline is going to work, and what the kind of, what goals do they have for their readers by the time they get to the end of the book. do they want their readers to know and feel, and how do we get them there? And then we'll talk through the content. So the content is a gradual process, and I have regular calls with the clients and we go through what they want to talk about. I then will write it up into the book, and if they've got any existing materials, if they've done a lot of blogs or they've got videos, I can use those for content as well. So it depends on the individual really, but it's very much me getting into their brain to find out what it is they want to say and how they want to say it, and then I write it in their voice.
For you, I guess the exciting bit is dissecting all the content and making sure it sounds it's consistent right through.
Yeah, that's important as well, because when you're doing a project, it takes a long time, like a book. It's easy to go off track a bit. So it's a process that writing it as a first draft, then going through it again as a whole book, and then getting some external input as well in terms of editing and proofreading, because when you write something yourself, whether you're the author or the ghostwriter or writing your own book, you get so close to it, it's very difficult to see it objectively. So it's always good to get another pair of eyes on it at the end of the process as well.
And for any business owners listening now, at what point does somebody say they want to write a book? What do they get to, or where do they get to in their business?
It's usually at the point one of 2 points. And it's usually either at the point where they feel they're really ready to take that next step in terms of getting themselves out there and getting known for what they do. And they decide they want to really build their expert authority. So it can either be at that stage, or it can be at an earlier stage where they've worked for a number of years, say, in a business. They want to go into a slightly new direction. They've got experience in that new direction. They've been doing work in it, but they're kind of ready to launch themselves. And they see a book as a useful tool to go alongside that. And also going through the book can be a very useful experience for the author in terms of getting clear on their business as well. Yeah. So when they're thinking about what they want to write, it can work both ways, and they can start reflecting on their business more as well. And it can be quite cathartic as a process as well, because you're really thinking through in detail all the what's your reason for your business existing? What are you here to do? What were you put on this earth to do? And that all gets expressed in the book. So it can be quite an emotional process as well as an intellectual one.
I remember when I was writing, my guide, writing it was a great experience, because I wrote it very quickly. But I think what I realized was how much I knew in this area.
Yeah.
And how much I didn't know in the other area.
Yeah.
It just goes to buttress what you were saying, that you go through this process of realizing how much you know or don't know in certain areas, and it can help shape your business and shape what you actually want to do.
Oh, for sure. It's a very profound process, actually, I think. And you've hit the nail on the head there, I think, working out what you know and what you don't know. And not knowing stuff is fine, because it's probably either it's something you maybe need to learn more on, or no, I don't need to know any more about that. Maybe I'll get a guest contributor to do a bit for the book on that, or maybe that's not something I need to focus on. So, but at least you're making a decision, aren't you?
Yeah. I like that. I think that was one of the great things that came out of writing my own book, was that I got to see that, I actually know a lot more, because before you write your book, and this is something that maybe a lot of business owners don't know, is that if you blog or you have content, coming out on your website and what you do often enough, you're only writing for a certain number of words, because you don't want to lose people, because you don't want it to be too long. You don't want it to be too short. But then again, when you're writing your book, it's really just writing everything you know. Yeah. And you don't really know how much you know until you start writing all that at the same time. So it's quite a good process.
Yeah, I think it can be a great process, great confidence builder, actually, from that point of view. Definitely.
Yeah. Working with your clients and getting them to understand their idea, you've created this flowchart that I think is just amazing. Honestly, it's really amazing. So talk us through how you created that and how it's going to help people who are thinking of their ideas and narrowing it down to one specific one?
Okay. Well, what I found was that a lot of the people I work with, I'm a detail person because I'm a writer, so I love detail. I'm very sort of focused, and I'm good at slicing through the complexity and getting things down to the simple level. But I find that some of the authors I work with, not all, but many, they're these very much ideas people. They've got lots of different ideas fizzing around, and they find it difficult to kind of take things in a step-by-step way because that's just not their natural way of thinking. And they're very top-line people. They don't like to wade through reams of text. So I came up with the idea of just having a one-page flowchart, which would help people to pick the killer idea for their business book. So when it's aimed at people who've got lots of different ideas and they don't want to waste them all, but they don't know which one to pick either. So it basically just takes them through step by step, answer yes or no to each of my questions, and then telling them what they need to do next. So that's something that I did for the listeners of your show. So I know it's going to be on your website, isn't it?
Yeah, so if people are listening to it, you go to theaudiomarketingexpert.com/Ginny Carter. That's what it would be. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so to be your name. So to be, theaudiomarketingexpert.com/Ginny Carter. And I think it's really good that people with the ideas that they're not going to use, and I think this is one of the things that would probably turning people away from writing their book is, well, I could write on this and I could write on that, but what would I use all that content for? And you give ideas of what people can do with the content that they're not going to use in a book.
Yeah. And I think that's really important emotionally as well as practically, because I know what I'm like. If I've had a good idea, I feel I ought to do something with it. And it's always a bit dispiriting if you feel you have ideas and they don't come to anything. So I just give people some ideas as to what they could do with the thoughts they have that don't end up in a book. And it may be as well that you can take 2 or 3 ideas and combine them and make a book out of that. It's just really a question of looking at the angle that you're taking on the ideas and the whole subject as well, and not getting too distracted by lots of different things going on. But I would say as well that there's nothing wrong with writing a book that is just something you really want to write about. If you feel there is a book in you in it and it doesn't really support your business, it's not going to help you in that way, but you feel you must write it, well, go right ahead. I'm not here to stop people doing that, but I think it's just important to recognize that there are disadvantages to doing that, and as long as you're okay with them, then that's fine.
What sort of disadvantages then?
Well, things like if you're writing about something that you just really want to write about but isn't going to actually support your business and promote your business, then you may not get a financial return on all of the time and effort that you spend on producing it. But on the other hand, you get a lot of emotional satisfaction, and if that's what you want out of it, then that's up to you, isn't it? So it's your decision.
Yeah, that's true. So how do people find you then?
Well, there's my website, marketing21.co.uk. It's all in letters, that, marketing21.co.uk. I'm also on Twitter. I'm _Ginny Carter. That is Ginny Carter. And I love talking to people on Twitter. So if anybody wants to come and say hello, that would be great.
Yeah, you're a social media guru. So
well, I don't know. I describe myself. I don't know if anyone should describe themselves as a guru, actually.
Oh, really?
But I do love my social media. Yes, that's true.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you, Ginny, and thanks for shedding so much light on ghostwriting and more importantly, how business owners can nail their idea down to write the best book for them.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Take care then.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's show and would like to feature as either a guest or a commentator, please go to bit.ly, that's bit.ly/author radio show. Take care then, bye-bye.